Can we just take a second to appreciate the fact that I got another copy of The Night Circus, and it's absolutely beautiful and I adore it, and it has the black trimmed pages, and it's my everything and I love it so much. Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I want to talk about all the book series that I still need to read. So the book series that I'm going to be talking about today are only the books that are in series that I personally own. There are plenty of other book series that I really want to read and I really want to get to, but I don't own any of those, so I'm not going to include them in this list. Otherwise this list would be incredibly long, and it already is longer than it should be. So without any further ado, because I have a very long list of books to talk about, let's get into all of the book series that I still need to read. So the first series I want to talk about, I only own the first book in the series because it's the only one that's currently out. By the time I upload this video, the second one might actually be out, but that book is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. So I don't know too much about this series, but what I do know is that it is an adult fantasy series that takes place in parallel Londons. So there are like multiple versions of London that I think are set in different time periods as well. And it just sounds super cool because it has that element of fantasy, but it also has time travel, which are two of my favorite things in books. It sounds like a fascinating series, something that I will thoroughly enjoy, and it's something that I desperately need to get to. So the next series that I want to start reading, I actually am not 100% positive that it's going to end up being a series. I've heard that this might only become a duology, but I don't really know. But the book just came out last year, but that book is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Now I wanted to read Six of Crows right when this book came out because first of all, can we just like look at it, but then also look at the beautiful black trimmed pages. It's just really pretty, and I'm not gonna lie, like part of my incentive for wanting to read this book was how pretty the cover is. But apart from the beautiful design of this book, what really drew me in was the synopsis. This is a heist novel that follows around multiple different characters set in the Grisha trilogy, which is Leigh Bardugo's original trilogy that this one is kind of a sequel to. It's not the same characters from what I understand. I haven't read the Grisha trilogy, but it's not the same characters. They're different characters, but it takes place in the same world and in the same time period, just after the events of the Grisha trilogy. But like I said, this one follows the story of a group of characters who are all on some sort of heist. I don't exactly know what they're doing. I'm assuming you'd find that out in the story. Don't want to be spoiled for that. But yeah, again, it is a YA fantasy series this time, unlike A Dark Shade of Magic, which is adult. But I love fantasy, I love heist stories, and I love following around groups of characters, so I think this will be right up my alley. This next series I've been meaning to read for honestly more years than I can even remember at this point, but that is the Across the Universe series by Beth Revis. Now if you watched my unhaul/series I won't be finishing video that I uploaded like forever ago, then you might have seen me talking about this book, but I was kind of unsure if I was going to unhaul it, and I decided to keep it. I don't really know too much about this series. I just know that it is a sci-fi novel, and it follows around, I think, two main characters who I think might have a romance throughout the series, but it's set in space on some sort of space station from what I understand. So this one is kind of on the back burner of my book series that I need to read, but it's still one that I want to get to, and it's still one that I'm kind of excited about reading, so it's not going anywhere yet, and I do intend to read this one. The next series on my list, again, is just the first book in the series because the first one is the only one that is out, but that is Illuminae by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This book is also a sci-fi YA novel, but this one is super cool because it is in a really interesting format. Like there are some websites and there are some emails and texts and just pictures and things throughout the whole thing, and it's just really interesting, and I've never read anything like that before. I don't know too much about the exact plot of what goes on in the story, I just know that it's sci-fi, but it was really just kind of the format of the book that really drew me into this one, and it was getting a lot of hype, and I've heard that it's actually very good, so I'm excited to get to this one, as I am with all of the other ones in this video, but I can't wait to get to it, especially because of the interesting format that it has, and I'm hoping that I actually end up enjoying it. The next series on my list is one of the series that I want to get to more than any other series currently, but that is the Diviners series by Libba Bray. Now the first two books in this series are already out, and I think it's only going to be a trilogy actually, but I don't know when the third book is coming out, and that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the third book to come out so I can just marathon the trilogy. The Diviners is again a YA fantasy series. You can see a trend here. I really like fantasy and science fiction, but it is a YA fantasy series that takes place in the 1920s. I'm not sure if it takes place in America America or if it takes place in London. I think it takes place in one of those places. But from what I understand, what's going on in this world is that there is this kind of murderer, serial killer who is on a spree and nobody knows who it is, but then there are some sort of fantasy magical elements that are mixed into that as well. So it just sounds really interesting to me. I love the 1920s kind of setting for fantasy and stuff like that. I think it's really interesting and I think it's a fun kind of time to read about, whether it is fiction or nonfiction. So I'm really, really looking forward to this one, and I cannot wait until the third book comes out so I can marathon all three of them. The next series is another series that I only have the first book because, again, only the first book is out, but it is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renée Ahdieh. The Wrath and the Dawn is a retelling of 1001 Nights. So 1001 Nights is the story of this prince or king who takes a new wife every single day because the next morning the wife that he took the previous night ends up missing or killed and nobody knows what happened to her. So in The Wrath and the Dawn, it tells the story of this girl who ends up volunteering to become the prince's wife because her friend, I believe, was killed by the prince and she wants to know what's going on and she wants to get revenge and figure out what happened to her friend. And again, this is the only book in the series that is currently out, but the second one I think is coming out in 2016, so it should be coming out soon. So I'm planning on reading this one sooner to when that one is going to be released, so then I can just pick it up right away and start it if I really like it that much. The next series on my list is another one that I have been really anticipating and really wanting to get to, but that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I've had several people on BookTube and several people in real life tell me that I have to read this book. I've had many friends who've read it who really loved it, and I know a lot of people here on BookTube whose reviews I trust who really love it, and I know that I'm probably also going to really love it, so I've just really been wanting to read it. So I don't really know too much about the actual story of The Name of the Wind, but I do know that it is a high fantasy adult series, and that's pretty much it. I don't really want to know anything else about it because I just kind of want to go into it blind. I feel like I'll enjoy it more if I don't really know what's going to go on, and it just kind of unfolds and I figure that out as I go. But yeah, again, it is just a high fantasy adult series, two things that are just my favorite, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy this one a lot. So this next series is probably like second on my list of series that I still need to read, but that is The Cuckoos Calling, or the Cormoran Strike novels by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. This is J.K. Rowling's murder mystery kind of detective novel series that I don't really know too much about because I don't really want to know too much about because it is like a mystery series, but it's J.K. Rowling and I feel blasphemous for not having read them yet. So I desperately want to get to these, and I think these are going to probably be not the next series that I pick up, but the series after that, because like I said, really need to read these. So the second to last series on my list is a book series that I own all of the books and I don't know why I haven't read them yet. They're YA high fantasy, and those are just, as we can tell from the rest of this video, like two things that will automatically draw me in, but it is the Seven Realms series, the first book being The Demon King by Cinda Williams-Chima. I don't know too much about the specifics on this series, again, like some of the other ones, because I've had them for so long that I've kind of forgotten what they were about and I've mixed them up with other series. But it is a YA high fantasy series that has lots of magic in it, and that pretty much is all I need to want to read this series. I've also heard from several people that it is a very good series, and I recently heard that Cinda Williams-Chima is actually continuing on this series, but it's going to be, I think, possibly different characters. I don't really know exactly what is going on with that, don't quote me on any of that, but I think it's a possibility, so I do want to get to these sooner so I can possibly read those as well if I end up enjoying this. And finally, we are on to the very last series, or trilogy I should say, and probably the series that I want to read more than any other series currently, but that is the Mistborn Trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I have heard from countless people here on BookTube that they love the Mistborn Trilogy and they love Brandon Sanderson, and I have yet to read a Brandon Sanderson book, so I decided that I will just start with the Mistborn Trilogy because it interested me more than anything else. This, again, like everything else in this video, is a high fantasy series, but this time it is an adult series. This series takes place in a world where a war has ended and the villain has kind of already taken power, so it's kind of a different perspective where instead of people are fighting against the villain or the bad guy to try and suppress the evil from taking over. The evil has already taken over, so it's a different perspective. So I find that really interesting. And also the magic system in this world, from what I understand, is kind of controlled by metals. So it's like the people in the world who have magical abilities can consume metals, I think, and use those to harness their powers. I don't know exactly how that works, obviously, because I haven't read it, but it sounds super cool and just really, really intriguing and something that I will very much enjoy. So it makes the top of my list of series I need to read. So that is it, guys. Those are all of the book series that I still need to read. So let me know in the comments down below, what is the top book series that you still need to read, or the top series that you're kind of like ashamed that you haven't read yet? Because obviously I have plenty, like too many. I need to get on this. I stopped reading series for a while, and that's why they've just built up. I just let them accumulate and I didn't touch any of them, which is a problem. I need to fix that, and I plan to very soon. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! Teen Wolf and I have a very complicated relationship. Sometimes I absolutely adore some of the episodes, and other times I just want to rip my hair out because I get so mad at how bad it can be.